Saturday Social, brought to you by EA Sports FC with PlayStation 5.
The Saturday Social whiteboard is out in all its glory. It's Chelsea related. What are we doing, mate?
It's an improved whiteboard.
I know.
This year. It's looking a little bit more sturdy on its legs there.
Yeah.
So shout out to the props team for that one. But yeah, Anita's on the show. We've got to be talking Chelsea after yet more signings this week. The 31st player of the Todd Boehly era was brought to the club, taking the spending to nearly £1 billion. We can have a look at the full list of players that he has so far brought to the club. Now, I'm obviously not going to read all these out.
Why not,
we've been
mate?
here until the end of the show. An awful lot of players, but yeah, £945 million in outlay. So what we've done, we've got hit and miss on the whiteboard next to Spencer, and we've picked out 20 of the biggest transfers in the Todd Boehly era.
Just the first 20.
Yeah, just 20 of the biggest
Not
ones.
all of them.
And basically, we're going to have to come to an agreement. You guys are going to have to come to some sort of an agreement on whether they've been a hit or a miss. Now, some of the signings, of course, we haven't seen play. Caicedo, Lavia, and Kunku. You're going to have to predict where you think they are going to be, OK? If there's not an agreement, it's going to be the majority rule, so 2v1. Happy with that?
With a West Ham fan and a Man City fan.
You're going to have to convince them.
All right, let's go.
OK, Spencer,
Let's go.
who you got first?
Up, we've got Raheem Sterling. Obviously, I guess we're taking into consideration the price paid for these players.
Yeah,
well,
47.5 million.
Yeah.
OK, I think that's a hit.
Based on
Based on the fact that he came from Man City and he was very comfortable in that Manchester City team. He's coming to Chelsea. He hasn't had the best start, I won't lie, he hasn't. But if we're going to predict how this season's going to go, and based on how he played against Liverpool, you watched the Liverpool match, right?
Yeah.
Based on how he played against Liverpool, he looks very promising.
Buvey
So
is shaking his head in disagreement.
I feel bad for Sterling. He won the Premier League with City. A few months later, he was at Chelsea. Fighting to not get relegated. I mean, that's the reality. So it's been a complete miss. I love Raheem Sterling. If he's in the right system, he's fantastic. He's borderline world-class on his day. We've not seen it for 12 months. It's a miss.
But you just said he's borderline world-class on his day, so surely it's still a hit.
Has it been a miss at Chelsea? Yes.
He hasn't had a day at Chelsea.
He had one against Liverpool.
Listen, I think you didn't win the game. You didn't
All right,
drew
cool.
one or
Do you know what? I will take the L. You
Yeah.
can put him in a miss.
I think we've got a year's worth of data on him at Chelsea.
There's a bigger fight coming. I can feel it.
But I thought at the time it was a hit when they bought him. I thought it was a hit.
You're going to have to be careful with the placement.
Spencer.
I think we need a lot of room.
Might need to be a lot of room there.
Get rid of the hits.
There's a lot of real estate here that I think will be available.
Joey's big on the placements of the magnet.
Who we got next?
Kalidou Koulibaly.
Oh, that's a miss. Yeah, put him in a bit.
Do we even need to discuss?
I don't think we do we? Given he's already left the club, of course, joining Al Hilal for £17 million. At least they recouped a little bit of investment there.
Well, that's the hit part of it, isn't it? Is the fact that they got some money back. But for me, I don't think we need to talk too much about him.
I really thought he was going to be a big thing at Chelsea, honestly, but he's disappointed me.
A lot of Chelsea fans did. I mean, and non-Chelsea fans. We had Thogden on the show, put him as his signing of the summer, didn't he?
Shocking.
Yeah.
Not like Thogden.
Stick that one straight.
Sorry if you want to. Yeah.
Put him here or here? What we going?
Yeah, I think that's fine. OK.
Next up.
Carney Chukwuemeka.
OK.
I think that's a hit. We haven't seen much of him yet, but I think that's a hit because when you look at the fact that he was, what was he? Was he England under-21 player of the season, player of the year or something like that? No? Am I lying?
Like
Something like that.
He's a fantastic
player.
Yeah.
So I'll put
20
him
million
as
as well for a player who's only 19 years of age. So if you're looking actually at value for money comparable to some of the other fees that Chelsea have paid, and for someone that you think is going to feature Pochettino like
highly rated, wasn't it, Villa? I think he was Villa's third youngest ever debutant.
Yeah,
they've got him off a young, promising player off a Premier League rival. Well, maybe you could call him a rival these days. But also the fact that he started last week and the fact that there's players they've sold in that position over him in the summer. They wanted to keep hold of him. I think it says a lot. Yeah, I'm happy to go hit.
Let's go hit.
OK, Buvey in agreement.
Cool.
OK, up next.
Cucurella.
Wow. Buvey have his say on this one?
It's one of the worst transfers in the history of football. I mean,
hang on. In the history of
yeah, because 65 million quid. I mean, it's nearly 100 million quid for that. I mean, it's not
nearly 100 million quid.
Let them out already. I mean,
firstly, it was 63 million, and is that near 100 million?
Yeah, but you add add-ons and all that in modern football.
It's closer to 50 million than it is to 100 million. Let's keep it real.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Let's keep it real.
And let's remember, he was excellent at Brighton, so much so that Man City were trying actively to sign him.
I'm glad we didn't. We tried to sign Harry Maguire. Look how that turned out for Man United.
If you had signed him and he'd had a year like he had at Chelsea for you guys, I feel like Buvey would be saying the same thing. That's the facts of it. I think you'd still say it was a bad signing, wouldn't you?
I don't see anything about it.
Why do you think it's in your words, one of the worst? You've just said the history of football.
Well, because 65 million quid, it's not a joke amount. If it's £25 million gamble, of course, there's loads of those in the Premier League. 65. He makes him one of the most expensive defenders in the history of the sport.
He doesn't start. He doesn't start.
He's not good at defending. He's got no pace going forward. He shoots from all weird distances. He can't pass the ball out. I don't know what's happened to him. I liked him at Brighton.
And yeah, defend your man, surely.
Look, I'm giving Cucurella a side eye. I won't lie to you. I will put him in the miss as well.
Wow.
I'd put him in the miss. I think that's job done. It's quite simple and it's quite easy. He hasn't had an impressive season. Maybe this season he'll change my mind.
Might improve under
He
Poch.
might improve, but it wasn't impressive.
The players Brighton had then, all the players they had available was Brighton's player of the year prior to Chelsea. But you're all in agreement, so it's your board.
Up next.
Wesley Fofana.
Interesting one, this, because he's just suffered so sadly with injuries,
unlucky.
hasn't he, since arriving there?
ACL.
Very, very unlucky.
I still think this could come very good long term if he gets rid of these injury issues. You know, his youth. He's young. He was unbelievable for Leicester. Yes, they paid a lot of money for him, and so far you'd say it's a miss in the sense of what they've got for that money is very little, but they have captured arguably one of the most promising centre-halves in the world if he gets fit again.
21 starts in the last 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
Including that last season at Leicester, which of course was injury plagued as well.
For me, I always say the best quality of a player is your ability to stay fit, and he hasn't stayed fit throughout the season that he's been here. So I can't put him as a hit. I would probably put him as a miss for now. Hopefully, he changes my mind throughout the season and he stays fit, because when he's fit, he is one heck of a player. So we'll keep him in the miss for now.
He has room to become a hit, because unlike Sterling and Koulibaly, he's at a different end of his career. He can end up being an unreal centre-half for them for 7, 8, 9 years.
For 80 mil, lads. I mean, what world are we living in? Seriously.
You need to stop with the money.
These young kids, I mean, Chukwuemeka was, what, 20 million quid? If he's that kind of price, fair enough. 80 million quid. The club has to be assured of guaranteed success on some level. Of course, something happens here and there, but for that kind of money, it's outrageous. And it's not his fault he's injured, don't get me wrong, but I mean, the club is going... It's crazy money that the club is outlaying on these kind of players. It's crazy.
But it's like, would you say, OK, it wasn't 80 million, to be fair, but, like, Timber, for example, has just gone out... I mean for Timber. Like, he's just gone out for basically the season for Arsenal, like ACL. You could say that makes that a miss.
But it is half the price,
But it is half the price. I'm just saying, like, when I don't think he's played badly when
so
he's
you
played.
want him a hit?
I think he could be a hit one day. I don't think he's a guaranteed miss yet.
Need a decision.
But you go both
if you want to go for the fact that he could be a hit,
I don't think.
No, don't be swayed, Ben. It's a miss. Come on, obviously.
I think so
Spencer
far
has a mind of his own.
So far,
OK.
So far, I'll agree with you. Let's shake hands on that.
Shake hands on that.
There we go. We need to move on. Let's get Buvey, your thoughts on the next one. Dennis Zakaria on loan.
That's terrible. I mean, did he play a minute of football with all due respect?
Yeah, 5.
Solid professional. You know, he came in as solid professional, but it's another weird transfer for Chelsea. It's kind of a lack of transfer strategy, any kind of forward thinking from Todd Boehly. Again, it's another miss, isn't it?
No longer at the club as well.
He's not even there.
There was a loan, right?
There's a loan. 5 million.
And was he even Todd Boehly era? Did he come in and start?
Yeah, all of these are Todd Boehly era signings.
Yeah.
He's subsequently gone back to Juventus. Now he's gone to Monaco for 20 million.
West Ham were trying to get him, to be fair. We were in the running together. I'd have taken him because he started playing towards the end of the season. I actually thought he looked he was one of the better players in that Chelsea team.
I agree. Before he picked up his injury, he had a little spurt, didn't he, where he actually looked solid. But overall,
I wouldn't say it's a massive mistake. They didn't pay anything really for him, did they? I don't know the exact...
Was it?
On profit, it's a hit.
It wasn't a hit because Chelsea were shocking last year, so...
OK, let's keep rolling on then.
A lot of misses going
Right, next.
Oh, wow. I mean, do we even need to chat about him?
Aubameyang.
Put him in the bin.
Yeah.
Put him in the
Go on,
bin.
Anita, you're the Chelsea fan. Thoughts on Aubameyang?
I think he came to Chelsea and absolutely stank up the place. I honestly regret ever signing him. Like, the intro video was great. He was like, yeah, back in the Premier League, sorry, Arsenal, nothing personal and all of that stuff, which was great. But then he didn't score any goals to back it all up. And maybe he scored like one goal. He did the backflip with the celebration.
He was unlucky,
great.
though, wasn't he? Because he was a Tuchel signing, and then 5 days later,
As a striker, if you want to call yourself a world-class striker, a great striker, you come into any team and you do your job adequately, and he did not do that. So I'm putting him straight as a miss.
OK.
Spence, I feel like if you don't put him in a miss, Anita's going to be very upset.
I'll be upset.
I thought it was a terrible signing, so stick him in there. OK. Badiashile, let's go.
I'm putting him as a hit.
He's so good. Yeah,
he's really
probably
good.
the best player for Chelsea last season.
35 million. I know that you've been critiquing the money here, Buvey, heavily. 35 million this one.
Exactly. That is great business. If you know, the other players, if they're at that 35, 40 million pound mark, it makes a lot of sense. And Badiashile he was probably the best, at least the best defender at Chelsea last season.
One of them.
You know, I think he's...
Given it only came in January,
I can't agree more. one of the better ones.
Still only 22.
Yeah.
Sticking straight into
France as well.
That's a hit.
There we go. OK, next one. Andre Santos.
OK, well, this is very hard, isn't it? We haven't seen a lot of him, but he seems like he's going to impact the first team this year. Seems like it comes with a lot of potential and plaudits from Brazil.
That's the thing, because I haven't seen much of him, I can't really put him as a hit or a miss. But if we are going banking on potential, yeah, he does have a lot of potential, and that's exactly why we bought him. So I'll just put him in the hit for now, but let's see how the season goes on.
19 years of age, 18 million from Vasco da Gama.
It's not a massive risk financially. It just feels like Chelsea, like on Football Manager, just buying every wonder kid potential, and then they only need a few of them to come good for that to be a good policy. He just needs game time. They have to play him.
He did have a good pre-season. So let's put him in hit then for now, shall we?
Cool.
OK, next up. This is
João Felix.
João Felix. And it was a loan, but it was a big fee for a loan, wasn't it? A £10 million loan fee. I mean, they've worked it out, £4 million per goal, over £1 million an appearance.
4 goals in 15 appearances. Also got sent off early, didn't he?
That was the thing I was going to bring up. I thought, you know, you're an experienced professional. I know he's young, but he's gone for a lot of money. He played for massive clubs, Benfica, Atletico, and then he gets sent off so early. There were a lot of flicks, a lot of little tricks. He didn't represent himself very well. They're booing him at Atletico Madrid at the moment, which is not nice, but it sort of says a lot about how fans perceive him from other clubs. He didn't do enough for Chelsea. If I was a Chelsea fan, I would have been really upset with how he performed.
I mean, I wouldn't say upset about how he performed. I understand where you're coming from, but you're not a Chelsea fan, so you can't really talk about that. But João Felix, I feel like if he stayed for this season, if Todd Boehly bought into his project, then I think he would have been a hit. Only because he has so much potential as a young player. And remember, back in the day, people thought this guy was going to be one of the best in the world. And he still has that potential there, but...
That was 4 years ago.
OK, all right, I said back in the day.
Yeah, what's real alarm bells for Chelsea is actually one of the reasons I think he hasn't lived up to his potential is because the amount of money Atletico paid for him.
100,
you apply that logic to a lot of the Chelsea guys you've bought, it could actually be the reason they don't come good. So, listen, they needed a number 9, really, when they bought him in, and they didn't. They went with someone else.
OK, next up, let's talk about this player. A lot to dissect. Mudryk, 22 years of age, paid 88.5 million from Shakhtar. Arsenal heavily linked as well. 8 starts for Chelsea, 7 in the Premier League, 1 in the Champions League.
More than 10 mil a start.
Yeah,
It's awful, lads. Honestly, he's been here 8 months. He's not scored a single goal in the league. Honestly, I know I said about Cucurella, this is one of the worst transfers in the history of the sport I've been loving since I was 4 years old.
Again?
He's awful. You remember that moment he was clear on goal and he kind of side passed it into the net?
But he's got an extremely high ceiling, hasn't he, Buvey?
Has he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on what 30 minutes against Real Madrid that you see on YouTube? I mean, it's not near enough to be Chelsea, leading the line for Chelsea. He might be a Premier League decent player. He could
it's the amount of money, isn't it? It's the amount of money.
10 goals and 8 assists in 18 appearances for Shakhtar. The season before, he had an amazing season. Interestingly as well, I interviewed Ben Chilwell, which we showed on last week's show, and he was saying that he's been one of the standout players in pre-season and in training, and a lot of the Chelsea players are saying that he's going to have a really good season.
Can I ask, how much was he?
88.5
million. OK.
100 million euros.
I feel like if we are going to talk about potential as well, this one is a hit.
You could put, sorry.
Yeah, if we're talking about potential, this one is, he is a hit.
Has his head
what potential have you seen? Please give me a moment. Anyone around in the studio, a minute of potential.
I'm going to have words with you after. I just can't seem to understand how, as a Man City fan, you're so concerned about the money. I cannot fathom it.
They get better value without their money.
No, Spencer, please. Me and Buvey, yeah? I don't understand how, as a Man City fan, you're talking about, oh, it's too expensive, it's too this. Look at Calvin Phillips.
Yeah, Calvin Phillips was 50
What's he done for your team?
All right, let's just bring in Jack Grealish. £100 million, that was a crazy amount of money. I didn't agree with it at the time. He's won back-to-back Premier Leagues. He started a Champions League final. He's won... So £88 million. If Mudryk helps you beat Real Madrid in the Champions League last season, that's fantastic.
Jack Grealish carried that Man City team.
But we're here to talk about football. What's he done on the pitch? He's done absolutely nothing.
Do you know what? I see the potential in Mudryk, and we spoke about potential, so I'm going to put him...
I think it's a Fofana situation again.
Majority rules here.
He could be a hit one day, but right now there is zero signs.
Spencer, it's coming down to you.
Zero signs of it right now.
OK, Spence. Got me the next one.
Madueke. Again, lots of potential, had a good summer tournament for England, but I haven't seen him do enough in a Chelsea shirt. He wasn't... What did he cost him?
29 million.
29 million, 21 years of age.
It's low-hanging fruit for that sort of price. English as well, which is important for
excellent in the under-21.
So I actually don't mind putting this as a hit. I don't think he has been a hit yet, but for the price, it's not bad.
OK, let's go. You happy with that?
Definitely.
Everyone happy? Hit?
I'm happy.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a happy face.
That's my happy face.
Malo Gusto, 20 years of age, £26 million from Lyon. Chelsea debuts a 76-minute sub against Liverpool Liverpool, of course. Anita, let's come to you.
This one has to be a hit because we look at Reece James now, who's injured, and him coming in right now, we need this guy right here. So
this is more of a prediction.
Yeah, this is more of a prediction, but the fact that Reece James is injured, he's already a hit because he's the only one that's going to be playing.
You need cover for Reece James.
We need cover.
We know one thing about him is that he gets injured.
This next one, oh, we've lost one. Boo. Enzo Fernandez, I believe, is up next.
Hit. Just put him there. We don't need to hit him, Bobby. Put it up there.
It's tricky, this one.
Yeah, he's a fantastic talent on his day. He had a great World Cup and all that. He didn't start for Argentina, did he? But again, it's the money, you know, over £100 million.
He has been a hit, though. He has been Chelsea's best player across the second half of the season. Like we saw on the opening day, sensational. World Cup winner. I know it's a big fee, but if you took the fee aside, he's been a good player.
To play devil's advocate on that, right? For Chelsea to finish 12th is so far below their objectives. I would say that's akin to West Ham getting relegated.
That was not the fault of Enzo.
No, what I'm saying is that how can you say a £100 million player? If you tell me Scott Parker, for example, was our best player when we got relegated one year, he got voted Writers' Player of the Year that year, but he didn't come in that year, and he was a hit but he was a hit because he made us better in so many other seasons. He hasn't done anything yet to make Chelsea better.
He's surely going to, though, isn't he?
He could do.
Exactly.
But 100 mil is...
So if we're looking at the potential of what he can bring, especially now that we've got Caicedo and Lavia, which frees him up quite a lot, let's put him in as a hit. Let's ignore what Buvey's ever going to say. You haven't said nothing yet, but I can feel your bad vibes already.
I like him. I like him.
Let's get Enzo in here.
You like him?
like him, Enzo. We
All
do
right,
like
let's put him
if
as
you're
a hit.
watching,
OK, next up.
Nicholas Jackson.
I'm putting him as a hit straight away.
Wasn't too expensive, was he?
No.
£32 million, 22 years of age from Villarreal.
Okay.
Yes.
Good pace as well against Liverpool. I thought he showed a lot of aggression and
Exactly.
Yeah, fantastic.
They needed a striker.
How many
They've
goals
got
do
a
you think he'll
striker.
score this season?
11.
Do you know what?
I don't think he's not prolific. He scored 9 for Villarreal last season.
I'm going to go into the teens. You know what? And Chelsea fans are probably going to look at me crazy here, but I think that he reminds me a little bit of a young Didier Drogba because the way he was... You see it as well. The way he was shoving them Liverpool players off when we played against Liverpool was reminiscent of how Drogba was when he first came to Chelsea. So I'm not saying he'll probably get the same stats as Drogba or be as big for us as Drogba, but I see little bits of him that I like Drogba, so I'm putting him in as a hit.
I'm happy with that.
OK, who we got next? Christopher Nkunku, I believe?
Yeah, we do.
I mean, surely this is a hit.
I really like him. He played against City in the Champions League for Leipzig. I think he's fantastic. So unfortunate with the injury. It's a bit like for finals. What can you say if someone gets injured? But in pre-season, he was fantastic.
And 50 million quid is a lot
That's the value. We're talking about transfers here. The value is fantastic. £50 million.
Joint top scorer in the Bundesliga last season, 16 goals, I think he got.
I think the reality of it is there should be a third category, which is like undecided. And I'd have
boring that, wouldn't it?
And I'd have Fofana in there because you can't. Like, yes, I agree with everything you just said. Great signing, but he hasn't played a minute of competitive football for them. And
Get off the fence. We've got to get up people.
Yeah,
off the
exactly.
Put it in here,
Come
but
on.
I've got to put it out
Disagree with you entirely. Two topics is better. Next up, 38 million from Monaco because you've asked his age and his transfer fee for all of these. 38 million, 25 years of age.
They bought the entire Monaco backline, basically.
Just Monaco and Brighton, isn't it? That's where they do their shopping.
Money talks.
But yeah, I mean,
to live.
they needed to strengthen up that and make that defence younger, didn't they? After last year, and they did that. They've got rid of, apart from Thiago Silva, people like Koulibaly, even Aspi have moved on. They brought in youth across the back four, and he looks like he's going to be more than decent. And the price wasn't too much for a risk. So I'm happy.
Yeah, really like him. Really
Yeah.
good.
Okay. Great debut as well.
Buvey's changed his tune. He was very critical in the early part of this.
It
Now he's,
started to
more
weight
in
now
the-
towards more hits than misses.
Yeah, Buvey's changed his tune a lot.
Well, some of them have to be hit. They've signed about 50 players and they can't.
I think Anita's getting in Buvey's head here.
Yeah, I am.
Robert Sanchez. Buvey, thoughts on this one?
It doesn't get you going, does it?
There we go. He's back in the room.
That's
the
looking
Buvey
at
we
it,
know.
You know, case by case. Is he a world-class keeper to get Chelsea? Look, the money we're talking about is to win a Premier League, to win the Champions League. That's what Todd Boehly's aiming for. Yep. Will he win Chelsea the Premier League? Is he Alisson, Edison? Is he a Czech? No, not for me.
He wasn't Brighton's #1 at the end of the season.
No, but then that
tells
was
you a lot.
them going in a different direction.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Under Graham Potter, we were talking about Robert Sanchez being a really top goalkeeper. You know, there were big bids going in for Robert Sanchez when Potter was there. And it's not a huge amount of money, is it? £25 million?
Exactly. I feel like based on, potential, Robert Sanchez can be a hit. And you've got to look at it this way. Chelsea don't really have a goalkeeper right now. Kepa's off.
Yeah.
So it has to be a hit because who else are we going to put in goal?
Kepa, the most expensive keeper in the world.
Yeah, and we already know how that went down, so let's just not talk about
That's what
it.
makes it a hit, actually, because you get rid of Kepa on loan and you bring him in. That just, by default, it kind of makes him a hit. It's so bad before that, you know what I mean?
I'm happy with that logic. I don't mind that.
It's interesting, the goalkeeper situation at Chelsea. It's like they've chopped and changed that #1. You haven't had a solid #1 for many years. Obviously, as you said, the Kepa Mendy situation, now Sanchez. So it's interesting to see how that plays out, that one. Next up,
Predictions.
Caicedo, 115 million, 21 years of age, 37
your
of
head at?
38 Premier League games for Brighton last season. Buvey, got to come to you
What are you
first.
shaking
'cause
your head at?
It was a cost of living crisis. I mean, do you know what I mean? 115 million quid for that. I mean, he's on one level he's a utility player. I know that midfielders like to drop into full-back position. I get it. It's the modern game, but he doesn't get you a goal. He's had one good. He's played about 40 games in the top level in England. Even if he is good right now, it's a massive gamble for an 8-year contract. He might not ever reach that world-class potential because he's on a long-term contract. And he might struggle to. Players 8 years is a long time for a footballer. There's no jeopardy in it.
But last season he was one of the best defensive midfielders in the league at 21.
Only Declan Rice made more interceptions in the Premier League than him last season, so he's a miss for you, Buvey.
Thank you.
Again, look, if he's 60, 50, I get it. The most expensive player in the history of the Premier League. Wow.
I understand your tactic here and it's not going to work. Caicedo's a hit, put him on the board.
Does he start for Man City?
The thing is...
No, because Rodri's there.
Exactly.
And how much is Rodri worth?
You have the best
How much is
team
Rodri worth?
in England.
250 million now.
I mean, he's worth
150 million pounds. Rodri's double that, isn't he?
But he probably would be worth more, but that's not a slight on Moises Caicedo, because Rodri's the best defensive.
You're not going to get Rodri out of City, so you've got to go with what else is left.
Yeah,
and I think it is a lot of money, but we're in that world now. That's the sort of price he's being paid, and they got him off Liverpool. I think that's a big sort of mental win against their.
Yeah.
They are going to be battling.
What?
They're going to be battling in the league. Those two teams, and it's not just him they got obviously off Liverpool.
Exactly. And even with that being said, yeah, you look at Chelsea's midfield. I'm trying to convince you here. You look at Chelsea's midfield. We had nobody in midfield. Kovacic is with you now, right? He's at Man City now. Jorginho's at Arsenal now.
Yeah.
And Kante, poor guy, has no more legs. He's gone off to Saudi.
You can have two different opinions of a footballer. I think Caicedo is fantastic. He's Premier League proven. He was amazing for Brighton last season. He was unplayable at points in terms of his work rate off the ball. Is he worth 150 million pounds? Absolutely not. Is Lavia, who's got a higher ceiling in my opinion, is he worth 50 million pounds? Yeah, in today's market. Double that for Caicedo. It's crazy.
I think we're looking at this in the context of Chelsea and everything else they've done.
Yeah.
If Liverpool had captured him for that price, I think we'd be saying it's a hit, because we know how much Liverpool need a player in that position. So I think player-wise, I'll say hit.
OK.
It's a majority rule.
You mentioned the other player that Liverpool linked with, Spencer, which brings us perfectly onto our last one. Romeo Lavia, £58 million, 26 starts for Southampton last season, 19 years of age. Anita, let's go to you first on this one. What are your thoughts?
Do you know what? The whole situation just makes me laugh. The fact that we got Caicedo and Lavia off of Liverpool was absolutely sensational. I think when Liverpool bid for Caicedo at midnight, I literally woke up from my sleep and I saw it. Everyone was texting me like, Liverpool's got Caicedo. And I put my phone down. I'm like, psh, yeah, right. And then Caicedo comes to Chelsea. They're like, Liverpool's going in for Lavia. Yeah, right. He comes to Chelsea. So just for that alone, that's a hit. Getting one over, not even just one, two over your rivals. And every time Chelsea play Liverpool, there's always that bit of rivalry there. Getting Latvia over Liverpool, that was a big win because they needed him.
I think you're all agreeing, you're all shaking your head here.
You could say that Liverpool thought they had Romeo done, but 21 seconds later he went...
Oh, really good, Spence. On that note, it's a perfect note to end it. Absolutely, that's one of my favourite ad-libs in Saturday Social. Well done, mate. Really like that.